We've been talking about a lot of stories that are similar to Trayvon Martin, and one that one of our listeners and TanyaFree.com friends mentioned on last week that we said we would talk about this week, Devontae Sanford. And other than our friend Scotty Reed on Black Talk Radio News, that is the only media source that I have read that story. So we have asked a special guest to come and give us some information about the Devontae Sanford story. Roberto Guzman.
I'm here, thank you.
Yes, Senior Legal Assistant. Welcome, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm fine, thank you. Tell us about Devontae Sanford.
Devontae Sanford in 2007 was a 14-year-old kid here in the city of Detroit, Michigan, who happened upon what was unbeknownst to him, a murder scene. And just as, most people in the neighborhood, he was a curious kid. He went down the street when he saw the police sirens flashing and asked the cops what's going on. And one of the officers who was at the scene said, "You know what's going on." And from that point forward, it was steady downhill for Devontae Sanford. There were there were a battery of interrogation sessions until they finally extracted a confession, if you will, out of him that he committed these murders. There were 4 murders inside this home.
So let me stop you for just a minute. So he was just basically a spectator. That's it.
That's correct.
Oh my.
That's correct.
And so they took him in thinking that he was the actual trigger person that shot, committed the murders, committed the crime.
That is correct.
Wow. And when did this happen and where?
This was in Detroit, Michigan. This happened in September of 2007.
Wow.
What has happened with the case?
Okay. Devontae, the most contentious issue in the case is his so-called confession. I have documents and I have a DVD of the interrogation sessions, and legal experts up here are split on whether there was a confession and there wasn't. And I wish I could show you, digitally or something. We could be looking at this DVD now. He is not confessing to the crime. An officer is reading to him a prepared statement that's the officer's rendition of what happened at the murder scene. But while he's doing this, he's feeding the information to a 14-year-old mentally challenged child who was blind in one eye, and basically leading him to confess, leading him to admit to the things that the officer said was reading from his statement. But it's not a confession like a discussion that you and I are having at the moment. It was not that. It doesn't even meet the textbook definition of confession.
Oh my goodness! So what has happened to the case?
He was induced to plead guilty to 4 counts of second-degree murder. He didn't even go to trial. He was rushed to plead guilty based on the ill advice of his attorney and based on a fraudulent presentation of the physical evidence that came in at trial. And I'm pursuing that, but the evidence was stacked up against him, but it was a fraudulent presentation of the evidence that a kid was scared, was coached to plead guilty to 4 murders he did not commit. And interestingly, a month after he pled guilty to the crimes, the professed hitman confessed to these same murders. And he did it very nonchalantly. The confessions fell, it was a discussion confession where he confessed to the murders, and this is why Devontae's case is back on appeal at the Michigan Court of Appeals now, because the judge made some rulings that are way out of, that have no, the judge's ruling is just a total abuse of discretion. The judge would not allow Devontae to withdraw his plea to second-degree murder, saying that the professed hitman's confession, standing alone, does not warrant Devontae a motion to withdraw his confession.
So it is possible he may face a lesser charge, but he still will be facing some charge of some kind.
Well, no, our standing is he should be set free.
True.
He'll be exonerated.
Right, he should be, right. But I'm saying, is it possible, you said the judge didn't really go for the confession of the person that actually did it, correct?
Right, and I'll tell you why, because this case has widespread political implications as well. Politically, this professed hitman was a hitman for Detroit police. This hitman had ties to the former mayor up here, whose corruption, as you guys are probably aware if you've heard about him, Kwame Kilpatrick.
Yes.
Yeah.
This hitman had ties to some hitmen that Kwame knew in Kentucky. So there's a reason why they don't want Vincent Smothers to take the witness stand, because the prosecution and the judge and the police are all concerned what he may actually spill on the witness stand. So what is the result? A 14-year-old kid, well, he's 19 now, is the sacrificial lamb because they want to be it's the politically right thing to do. It's corruption to the nilth here. And it's scary, it's sickening, because if they have no conscience of what they did to a 14-year-old kid, no one else stands a chance here. No one else stands a chance.
Where's the family in all of this?
The family has been by his side and is by his side. His mother, I stay in touch with her on a regular basis. She's doing all she can with what limited resources she can to free her son. I just met her a few months ago when I read the judge's decision, and that's what drew my interest in this case. The case has been in the news here pretty, steadily in the news here. And so I reached out to his mother, and she's definitely fighting to free her son.
How come this story hasn't gotten national attention? And also, too, I haven't heard any, the NAACP, or are they involved?
The NAACP branch in Detroit is not involved. And with all due respect, let me say this: the political climate here in Detroit is this: the civil rights, the local civil rights groups here. We have reached out to them in some other cases. They don't want to get involved. This is my impression. My honest belief is because there's this attitude that, so if a few slip through the cracks, but we have to get a handle on crime. And they tell me this. Yeah. And I'm not just saying the NAACP. I'm saying all of them up here. Well, that to me is not acceptable. Because you're not fighting crime by sending an innocent child to prison.
So they tried him as an adult?
He was charged as an adult. And here's the other thing. In Michigan, we have, for first degree, he was charged with first-degree murder, and he was tried as an adult. If he had been found guilty, he would have got mandatory life with no parole, which means he would have never had a chance at parole. So the odds were so stacked up against him. And, of course, they brought his so-called, quote, confessions, unquote, into court, in addition to the fraudulent physical evidence, which my understanding were a pair of bloody shoes that they said were his, but come to find out, the officers took his shoes to the house and contaminated it. You follow where I'm going.
Yeah. Wow.
And the odds were so stacked up against him that he pled guilty to second-degree murder and got 37 to 90 years in prison. An innocent child, he's not innocent because I say so. He is innocent. And they know this, but like I said earlier, the case is so filled with political corruption and political incest. Everybody is willing to throw this child away because it's the right thing to do. They don't want that hitman to take the witness stand because he is going to also, they're concerned that he's going to spill his guts about a lot of other things he did.
Is there a website
up here.
Is there a website that we can go to follow up on this case?
Definitely. I do know. Oh, I don't have it handy.
Well, I know you have a rally. Tell us about the rally that you have planned.
We have a rally planned on April 23rd at 8 o'clock here in Detroit in front of the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, which is at 1441 St. Antoine Street.
And what day is that?
April 23rd.
Okay.
Roberto, one quick question. You talk about the corruptness in Detroit. Smothers, the hitman, I read something that he's getting like special treatment. He had access to a cell phone while in prison. So it seems to me that he would not, for some reason, if he's allowed to get to be a witness, seems like to me he probably won't make it there.
Yeah.
So much corruption is going on.
I heard, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Go ahead, sir.
I heard about the cell phone that he got access to in the prison. I don't know if that's true, but I do know this. Smothers gave an interview to the Associated Press about a month ago and told the Associated Press, regardless about the cell phone incident, he is willing to take the stand because he wants to atone for the fact that he can't accept the fact that Devontae is sitting in prison for a minimum of 37 years for a crime he did not commit. Smothers, keep in mind, also confessed before he went to prison for these crimes, but he was never charged with them. Why? Because the prosecutors had already got Devontae convicted.
Has the Innocent Project been involved in this on behalf of Dante?
Here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, we have the Innocent Clinic. They don't get involved in these cases until they exhaust the appeals. That's when they do. I anticipate that in the future, if Devontae does not prevail on appeal, Dave Moran, who's the director of the Innocent Clinic here in Michigan, will take this case up. But I'm glad you brought that up. One of the advantages Devontae has, one of the good things he has in his favor is his appeals. He's got plenty of appeal options ahead of him. And the judge's decision last month to deny his motion to withdraw his guilty plea, which was an illusory guilty plea, just like his confession was illusory, is before the Michigan Court of Appeals. I'm hopeful, although I'm cautiously optimistic, that the Court of Appeals will reverse the judge's decision totally, or at least remand it back for an evidentiary hearing and tell the judge, you must let Smothers take the witness stand. We will wait and see. But he has a lot of appeals ahead of him. But why am I fighting this now? I don't want this child to have to sit in prison for 20 or 30 years.
And we agree with you.
He gets relief.
We agree with you.
So what can we do to help your process?
Yeah, because we got to go real quick.
We need support.
Okay.
We need supporters on the ground with us that day if we can get them there, or if you can link in by remote. We need the word out to put pressure on the prosecutor here in Detroit. Call her office.
Okay.
Put pressure on the prosecutor because it's all in her hands.
Roberta, we are running out of time. I don't mean to rush you. We're going to have you back again. And what I'll do, I'll get your information. I will place it on TanyaFree.com so everybody can find it. And also, like I said, we'll have you back after you all have the rallies and give us an update when we have more time.
Okay.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
As always, I really thank God for allowing us the opportunity to speak and hopefully heard. Thanks to our listening friends. Blessings to each and every one of you. Thanks to our special guest today, Roberto Guzman. We will definitely have him back again. And, of course, thanks to William Benita Kent, Roosevelt, Mr. Free, Tanya Free. Until next time, be free. And remember to live life with a purpose.